Sarah. But yeah, it does semi-restrict what we do, but then like the trend at the moment is a lot of people just want a nice, easygoing, hazy pale. We do a lot of fruited sours, which can be quite crazy. So we did a raspberry ripple ice cream sour recently, which sort of sounds insane, but it's relatively safe in how it works.
And a passion fruit martini sour.
Yeah, passion fruit martini. We've got a margarita gozo, which is a type of sour that's sort of slightly salted. And then barrel aged imperial stouts as well is a big thing that Mike and Lucy were really keen to have part of the brand identity when they started, and they're just starting to come through now. But
yeah, you meant so on that note of that barrel aged stuff, and similar with sours, a lot of that has got quite a long term fermentation period and that sort of thing. So how, if you're just going straight to 3,000 litres, how do you know that you're going to be able to store that? How do you plan for releasing that in like
the
6
sours
months'
that we
time?
make aren't using wild yeast, it's sour using sort of known bacteria, so that they only have a tank residency of about 3 weeks, the same as a normal beer. And then the imperial stouts will be about 4 weeks in a fermenting tank, and then we'll move them into a barrel where they'll sit. We've got some barrels that have been there for I think 5 years now.
Blimey.
And they really do fluctuate in how they taste. Like we do tastings every couple of months with all the different barrels, and 1 month it'll be delicious, the next month it'll be awful, and then it'll be really nice again. And so that's a really tricky thing to decide when to go, yeah, that's there, because you never know, it might become outstanding when it's nice now, and or you'll sort of blend two things together and you might be risking one or the other. It's quite fun, and you just sort of got to trust your instinct really.
So are you trying those older ones regularly to decide actually now is the time to release that, or?
Probably every couple of months. It's the sort of thing, you have to set aside quite a long time to do it, because they're all quite strong. You've sort of got to bear in mind that your palate fatigues over drinking quite a lot of the same thing as well. So and you've got to have enough people for that tasting panel to be relevant, because I've certainly had it where I've had a cold one day and tried a beer and thought it was awful and been close to getting rid of it. Actually, I just had a cold. So yeah, you sort of need enough people with that to sort of blend things together and work out what's best. I think the next release out from the barrel store, we actually got everyone that worked there to sort of taste 2 options, and so it was quite nicely collaborative between everyone and got a lot of opinions on it.
You mentioned they're getting rid of it, so does that mean every now and then you just have a batch where you have 3,000 litres or more, you just have to bin the whole batch?
Very rarely, but if something's not right, then we don't want to put it out. Sort of, we live by the product we make, and it's such a brutal industry. There's so many people competing for all the lines that if there's a batch that's not right, then it's long term better for the company to not sell it at all. It's like touch wood, like once a year, if that everything's gone that way. Because we've been doing it long enough there that the process is trusted and refined enough. But yeah, if something isn't right, then we would rather not sell it than try and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Are there any variables in the process that you can't control that can make changes?
Yeah, equipment breaking. We've had before a fermenter as the cooling system has gone on a fermenter, but luckily we've managed to fix it in time to stop it going too wrong, or different bits of equipment might break, or extract from the grain that we make changes with the seasons.
Yeah.
But using the analysis of that from the suppliers, as long as they don't lie, which they do sometimes, we normally sort of adapt a recipe to suit that. And I've taken steps with the core beers certainly to make it that any fluctuations in ingredient quality shouldn't impact the end product by sort of blending suppliers together and things like that.
And I'm guessing you taste throughout the process, you see how things are going.
Yeah, so certainly once it's finished in a tank, we'll sort of taste it. We do tests that involve tasting for off flavours before we do certain stages, because say when you cool it down, it's too late to fix anything.
Yeah.
There are some off flavours that can occur through fermentation. So we have a tasting panel before we'll chill any beer, and we'll say yes, this is free from this, or if one person in that panel detects it, we'll leave it a bit longer and then try it again. Yeah, sort of just general QC stuff really.
Yeah.
So it's not a case of just sort of getting to work and having 5 pints.
what you do, I imagine, are you into your mixology? You do cocktails?
Yeah, occasionally. I tend to drink mainly beer at home, partly because I have a long commute and I get quite tired in the evenings.
Yeah.
But I like an old fashioned or a Negroni and
Yeah. Imagine the skills you've got probably lend themselves quite well to knowing how much to use.
yeah, I really like my relaxing is cooking at home. And without wanting to sound smug, I'm a very good cook at home. And that's how I got into brewing in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of relaxed by cooking and sort of ruined the restaurants really. Yeah.
How do you throw away 3,000 litres of beer?
Very, very slowly down the drain.
While crying.
You have to
There's no wonder Thames Water in
You
trouble.
have to
This is
dilute
all your
it
beer
as it
going into
goes,
this.
so then it's not not impacting the water quality. So you have to do it very slowly over time.
Mm.
Certainly the brewery I worked at before Double Barreled, when lockdown was announced, no one had an outlet for any beer, and that was quite heartbreaking, throwing away 8 tanks full of beer. It was weirdly
Slowly.
fun because I just opened the valve on the bottom of all of the tanks. So I had all day to clean up after it. It's like a foam party. It was quite fun.
You mentioned water treatment earlier. So,
Yeah.
So on that note, are you starting with like Reading water and then making additions to that, or are you like going buying pure water or RO water and then customizing it from there?
We start with Reading water, which is hard as nails, as you all
Yeah.
know, which is actually a real challenge when brewing soft, juicy beer, because high calcium content can really come through on the flavour once you've finished brewing with it. But I've always lived and brewed in hard water areas, so sort of over the last 10 years in some weird squatting of chemistry stuff on the internet, I've sort of learned how to basically add acids to sort of drop out the hardness, and then we add salts to add the ions that we want, and the ratios of those ions impact how it feels in your mouth. So for a lager you want a lot of sulfate ions because that makes it taste quite crisp, but for the juicy pales it's very high in chloride, which makes it soft and round, and with the porter there's a lot of chloride in there as well. It's working out how to add those without adding any more chalk, which has been a fun challenge if you're into that sort of thing. Yeah, all science and experimentation. Really.
Irish experimentation, we've got to go straight to 3,000 litres.
Yeah, well, my first brewery was 400 litres, so it's less bad. Then 1,000, and now 3,000.
You actually mentioned starting from home brewing at home, so do you still home brew on the side?
I hadn't done for probably 7 years, and then last year my wife wanted to try making a homebrew batch at home, and so we did, and it was awful. I think it probably would have been good back when I was homebrewing, but there's so many things that you can't control when homebrewing unless you invest in really good kit, which people are now, but I wasn't going to buy loads of equipment to do it. But sort of temperature control when you're fermenting, for example, can make or break a beer. And so I think the one that we made at home, where it was just in an airing cupboard, something for that. But yeah, it was quite fun, and it was good fun to sort of show her how it all works. She's never actually come to a brew day before. It's quite Whippet.
Yeah, very good.
Must be quite satisfying when you're attacking, you see the inebriated people. I know that.
It's quite strange, especially sort of, if you've had a late shift in the brewery and then you go out and attack the floor and everyone's having a really good time. It's really rewarding. It sort of makes the work feel worth it. It's very